Happy Friday, everyone. Today we're looking at lesson 13-2. Analyze and compare 3D, three-dimensional shapes. Okay, so we're going to look at those shapes we're learning, and we're going to look at how they're alike and how they're different. They just use way fancier words than we do, but we are going to analyze and compare. We're going to look at them. We're going to look at how they're the same, maybe how they're different, and we're going to explain those things. Okay. So Jackson is looking at all these solid shapes. He wants to find something. Okay, I'm looking at the directions. A solid figure has flat sides and rolls. So we're going to color the ones that have flat sides and they can roll. So I want you to think about that while I'm picking my tools. Which shapes can roll? So why don't we put an X on the things we know cannot roll? How does that sound? Let me make my marker a little smaller. What can't roll? I count right away 3 things that can't roll. Look at them. What are those things called that can't roll? Did you say the cubes can't roll? I hope you did. Now, a cube, here's the thing to understand, ladies and gentlemen, and you'll see this in my flip grid, okay? A cube can only roll if you throw it, okay? So cube or dice, yeah, they roll if you throw them. Anything can roll if you throw them, but that's not what we're looking for here. We're looking for which items, if you lay them down on a table, will roll on their own. If you lay a dice, a box, a cube, and you just put it down on a table, and you move your hand, is it going to start rolling around? No, it's going to lay flat on its bottom side. So these guys do not roll. These cubes, they do not roll by themselves. So now, look at the rest of them. How do you know that they can roll? What is it about those ones we don't have an X on that makes them roll? You might be noticing, and I hope you are noticing, that they have curved sides. Okay, the sphere is all curves. The cone is these curves on the side. The cylinder has the curves. If you lay it down not on its flat side, it's going to roll. Okay, so now let's go back to Jackson's clues. It has flat sides and it rolls. Ah, which figures are we looking at? Which 3D shapes don't have any flat shapes? Those are the ones we're going to cross out. Which ones don't have any flat shapes or sides? The spheres. There's nothing flat on those spheres. So we're going to cross them out too. Okay? They are not what we want. So now, look at what we have left. We have 2 3D shapes left. What are those 2 shapes called? I mean, they're all different shapes and sizes of them, but there's 2 different kinds left. What are they called? The cylinders and the cones are left. And look at those cylinders and cones. If you lay them down on their rounded sides or their rounded edges, could they just roll if you lay them on a table that way? Well, I mean, look at a cylinder and think about your pencils in school. How many times would you put your pencil down on your table and it would just roll right off the desk even though you tried to keep it still? It happened all the time, right? Sometimes a cylinder will roll. If you don't want it to roll, you have to stand it up, which you can't really do with a pencil, of course. So the cylinders all have this flat side on the top and the bottom. Okay, over here they're on the sides. Over here in this cylinder, it's on the bottom and on the top. And the cones have this flat shape. So if we don't want our cone to roll away, we have to stand it up on that flat surface. If we're okay with it rolling and we want to see if it rolls, we lay it on its side and it will roll. So the figures that Jackson should color are his cones and his cylinders, which we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on, the coloring part, because we just, really for us, it was coming up with our answer, okay? And I'm not going to ask you guys to go back in and cut and color these pages in the book, and I'm not going to ask you guys to do that. We're having these conversations now. I'll ask you to do the flip grid instead when you're done. Okay, so now we're going to look at them. So Jackson is up on top, and he's got his 4 different figures. He has his red cube, his green sphere, his purple cone, and his blue cylinder. And as you can see, if we lay our sphere, cylinder, and cone down, they roll. If we take our cylinder and our cube, what is he doing with them in this picture? What are they doing there? He's stacking them. He's putting one on top of the other. And in order to stack, you have to have a flat side. Okay? To stack, you have to have a flat side. So the cylinder and the cube, they stack easily. Now, my problem here is technically you could put a cone in there. The cone can't be on the bottom of a stack, but the cone could be on the top of the stack because it has that one flat bottom. Now, this last one is tricky. You see those arrows? They want you to imagine that you're moving those shapes, not throwing them, but maybe putting your hand behind them and moving them forward. What are they doing? They're not rolling. We call it sliding, like going down a slide, right? You could slide them across the table by pushing them, but they're not going to keep going once you stop. A roll keeps on going. A slide is just as far as you move it. Okay, it has to have someone else involved, someone moving it. Okay, so down here we're going to practice which ones do what. So the first one, you see a stack, and they want you to circle the shapes that stack, right? So we said the cube and the cylinder can stack. Now, what do you think we're trying to show here with these arrows going in this direction? Rolling, right. So which of these three figures can roll? The sphere is just our example. Which of the other three can roll? The cone can roll, and the cylinder can roll. Excellent, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's try some more. Okay, so numbers 3 and 4, they give you the example. 5, 6, 7, and 8, I have to ask you. So look at number 3. You see that little arrow on the ground that's trying to show us we're sliding that cylinder along. Which of those can we slide? The sphere, the cube, or the cone? Which ones can we slide? Okay, let me get my pen. We can slide the cube, and we can slide the cone because they have a flat bottom. The sphere can't slide, it only rolls. Okay, and what are these two little cubes doing here? They're making a what? A stack. Good. Now tell me, which figures can stack? Did you say the purple cylinder and the cone can stack? Because they can. What would happen if I tried to stack using a sphere? Nothing would balance, would it? It would just go all over the place. Everything would fall. Good STEM word. It wouldn't balance. Okay, so let's look at the hand, our high five number 5, okay? High five number 5 wants me to pick the figure that rolls and stacks. Which one can roll and stack? Well, we just said a sphere can't stack. It would be unbalanced and it would roll all over. And a cube can't roll unless you throw it. But a cylinder can roll and a cylinder can stack. So let's look at number 6, the coffee mug. Which solid figure can slide and roll? Did you say the cylinder and the cone? Because they both can slide on that flat surface on the bottom. And then if we lay them down, they can both roll. Number 7 wants to know what solid figures can stack and slide. Who can stack and slide? Did you say the cone and the cylinder? Because they can. Okay, now number 8, I'm going to put a not in front of this. Which solid figure does not stack or slide? It can't stack and it can't slide. The sphere can't stack and slide, but what can the sphere do? What can it do? It can roll. What do you think could make a sphere roll? Any kind of motion around it could probably make it roll. I mean, you could blow on it, a wind, a touch. If it's on a desk and the desk gets bumped, anything touching it or coming too close to it or touching what it's on could make a sphere roll, really. So if you said anything like that, give yourself a big round of applause because you did a good job. Okay, so now which of these real world objects can roll in the top row? Which ones can roll? Well, the sphere can roll, the cylinder can roll, and the cone can roll. There you go. Very good. And I'm calling them by their math names, even though they're real world pictures, okay? Look at number 10. That's cube. It's a real tissue box, but it's a cube. And the cube is being slid. It's sliding. Which ones can slide? All of these. Cylinder, the cube, and the cone can all slide. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go onto the Flipgrid now, and I'm going to put up my own samples and show you, hopefully, slide, stack, and roll. Okay, so I'm going to try my best to show you slide, stack, and roll. And then I'd like you can give it a try and show us some. And don't forget, I always love it when you guys look at each other's Flipgrids and comment on each other's and tell each other that you've done a good job. It really feels good when we hear that. Okay, guys? All right. Take a look. Have a good day, and I can't wait to see you slide, stack, and roll.